Keeping it pushing here, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network, Neil Rule, D-Mac, KG, Spencer Raxter as well, March 26th. You guys know what it is, 27 years ago today. And as always, on Tuesday, we're joined by our guy, Dr. Jeff Pierce, here in the house from the Michigan Sports and Spine Center. And Doc, appreciate your time. Hey, happy March 26th to all those that celebrate. You're one, right?
Absolutely. You said I didn't want to do the math. Thanks for doing the math for me. I don't want to feel that old. 27 years ago?
I know, right?
Jeez, the people around here act like it's yesterday.
Yeah, well,
As
it
they
is.
should. Anyway.
You know, I watched the Live Golf PGA, how this day will change golf forever. That day changed Red Wing hockey forever.
Yes, it did.
Can I say
Precursor to a
that?
No,
You heard it from a doctor. I mean,
Yeah, you're a doctor.
He's a doctor. Yeah.
That's right. I was cleared by Google to say that, I think.
No, absolutely. But Doc, you are absolutely right about that, about the Red Wings. There is no question. Did want to catch up with you though, Doc, because baseball. For those that don't know,
First of all, Oakland Grizzlies.
Yes,
I gotta give a shout out. You must have been like at the edge of your seat the whole second game, but the first one,
both of them. I've never called games like that before. Never. Just the intensity of literally every single. It was. You know what it was? I was getting Game 7 NHL playoff vibes.
You know what it was, Neil? And here's the one thing too, Doc. Maybe you can talk about
the emotional.
Like, that's but the drain, right? So
I was never more exhausted. I will say that.
You go through an NHL playoff game and then whatever it is, and the intensity, to keep that intensity, right, where you know where it's different. I mean, it's the whole. How many minutes do you play? 40 minutes.
40 minutes, yeah.
Whole 40 minutes
plus,
of it's on.
Plus 3-minute media timeouts too, Doc.
After that bourbon hit. Right, that first bourbon hit. You didn't have to get to the second or third, right? You were like, halfway down. But it's the emotions that we can all understand.
But to just play it into medicine and science, your body's in a flex position the whole time.
The whole time.
You're like fully going. You're like, you don't even realize. Like, if someone said take a deep breath, you're like, what are you talking about, right? Like you were just like everything was, and that's the way it is in playoffs. Like when you're watching the game, when these people are. Wherever, who we sponsor, Buffalo Wild Wings are sitting there and cheering. They're exhausted. And the funny thing is I don't know if there's ever been a study like to win or lose a game, how your recovery is. Because when you lose, that recovery is a lot longer than when you win.
True.
And what is the chemical in your body that's making you do that? It's not just, it's the cortisol levels, it's the adrenaline levels. There's a science behind why you probably felt like you just played Game 7, the whole season type of thing.
The only other time I can recall kind of even feeling like that physically after calling a game was probably the first game I ever did in the NBA because I was terrified. And I guess that's
Neil,
about it.
You know what like compare it to, because we talked about it, right? You running that 10K.
Yeah.
Right, and grinding through that 10K when you were done, there's this like relief and stuff of accomplishment. Talk about the end of the first game that you guys won versus the end of the second game, because the intensity of both games was right there, right? Down to the wire.
Well, then they chase it with an overtime game, to go to the Sweet 16, and like it was the exact same feels. I mean, there was something extra the second you get on the air, and I didn't even think about it. You brought that up. I was sitting there like tense, and here we go, and this is, and it was just, and it just kept playing out that way. But no, it was one of those things. I will tell you this though, Dr. Pierce, Campy was able to use those 3-minute media timeouts to his advantage, and the rotation shrunk a little bit because you got that extra minute of rest. That was real. Trey Townsend never came off the floor the whole time.
No, he didn't. I mean, we were all look. We needed. I'm a Michigan State guy. We didn't do well. We were all rooting for Oakland, and just it was fun. It was fun. We were actually at the LCA watching Olivia, and we're back. We got the door open to listen to her music, but we're watching the end of the game and the whole thing. And
That's
then I
awesome.
need to give a shout out for the hockey, Michigan State. winning the Big Ten championship.
There you go, Spenny.
Way to go, Spenny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Props.
Hockey school now.
Yeah.
Hockey school, baby.
Get the
That's
pucks
right.
on the net.
Yeah.
You never know in overtime, baby.
All right, so not that I don't want to talk about the Tigers, so I wanted to get all that out.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. No, absolutely. No, but Doc,
No, but
it is
but
great.
It's funny because people like just to translate what you did into what life's like. That's why I say, not that I'm going to push yoga or Tai Chi or any of that stuff, but there is a science to relaxing your body, taking a deep breath. Like even the two of you, if we want to, like right now, I make like when I'm in a room with a patient, I'm like, take a deep breath. Like I just did this to a woman who's a big time engineer with a really huge company, and her whole body hurts. I'm like, when's the last time you took a deep breath? Right? You need to relax all that muscle. When you're staying constant, like TMJ at night, and you know all these things are bothering you, get neck pain, you get stress. All these things, if you're being proactive, yoga plays a role, relaxation plays a role, meditation plays a role. You need to relax your bodies. You need to turn the mechanism of the firing of the muscles off, right? So it's like chronic pain or back pain. Like I was talking to one of your people out here, he's got ongoing low back pain because he's in a constant flex position where the muscle is just continuing to fire. You need like some of the simple stuff early on in your 20s and 30s, learn how to take a deep breath. So right now I'm gonna make us all take a deep breath and where your chest fully expands and just let everything out and feel the difference.
I'll do it.
Mac, that's you too.
What? Take a deep breath.
Like,
Bro, Doc, I got enough cannabis flowing through my system. I'm always relaxed.
Spence, I want you taking a deep breath. You're standing in for Mac today.
It did. It let go a little bit.
But
there.
it does, and then like you didn't even do it fully. Like your chest should really expand like you're huge, and then just let it all out. It's counts of 4. So you breathe in for 4, you release, you hold for 4, release for 4, and relax. So the secrets of the 4, and usually we want your mouth open. But if you start doing that and patients start doing it, finally we have a call to action on my show.
There you
I
go.
want everybody to take a deep breath and relax because it is, you don't understand like muscle spindles. We talk about regenerative, we talk about exercise, we talk about cellular. It's all relaxing because when you're fully flexed, your muscles are shortening, they're tightening, they're firing, and you're calling it a chronic firing pattern, right? If I break that cycle just for a minute, you break it, it resets, and it's healthier for your structure.
People in the chat right now are bringing up Mike O says stretching too, way underrated.
Game
And Doc,
changer.
I'm terrible. I run a lot, probably about 25 miles a week.
That's good.
I because I can't fit it in. You know what I'm saying? Like stretching, if you're going to do it right, it's probably what, a 20-minute proposition.
20 minutes is good.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know. It's just like, and to take time
You know
to
when
stretch.
you'll add it in? When you were really hurting.
Yes,
And then you're being reactive instead of proactive.
correct.
So put that in the chat room.
Yeah. No, I do. I'm terrible.
Hey, Neil,
at
you're
it.
gonna get. Listen,
Terrible.
These are all the conversations that you have. This is like part of Doc's.
Yeah, this is.
Doc's got a
I'm
whole
getting the
bunch
experience.
of.
Yeah.
I'm having,
I got all the Pierce
I'm
pearls
having
come out.
flashbacks of because he will let you know exactly. Oh, you like so we're gonna react to things instead of get in front of things, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and especially for the young athletes. Like right now, this morning, one of my son's friends, they're juniors over at school and they're playing lacrosse. One of the kids is not going to play today because he's got ongoing back pain. It's just, you're not invincible. You got to be proactive. These guys are lifting, they're at that age where I got to lift, I got to gain muscle mass. And they're not doing it, I want to say they're doing it properly, but they're not. They're whipping the weights up and they're doing that quick reaction thing. And you're not doing the long sustain, lengthen the full muscle, do slow and recover. It's 2 up, 4 down, those kind of things. You need to start realizing are important earlier in life because we do want to be more preventative, proactive, because Medicare is not going to be there when you're 60.
Well, hey, thanks for the reality check there, Doc.
Hey, I'm getting close to it. I don't think there'll be any Medicare by the time we all get there.
WoodwardSports.com chat thread. Andrew Schmidt says, that felt good, Doc. Thanks. But then there's bada bing, bada boom. I stretched once back in 1996. That's about the last time I probably stretched too. Why am I not? Why don't I do that? I know it's
because you're
important.
getting away with it, right? You're getting
Yeah, you're
away
right.
with it, and it's going to be, I'm not going to change until something forces me to change. Or if Doc throws a brick at me 5 times on the show,
Right.
I'm going to think about it. Because, I mean, Mac's king of not listening on the first run.
Really?
Or the second.
Really?
So some things haven't changed in 27 years. But no, it's proven to yourself, right? Like, I'll design the best workout program, but if you're not into it, you can't relate to it, it doesn't matter how much money you're spending on me or trainers or anybody. You have to find some love that you want to do. You love running. 25 miles a week is a good run. You know, that's good. But some runners, like I dealt with the runners early in my career. I got the running team out of, I think it was Canton or something. And they go, we heard you're the new hot sports medicine doc in the area. And the thing was, they criticized me because I wasn't a runner. I gave them all the facts, but I wasn't a runner, so therefore I didn't have credibility. Mm-hmm. I mean, it took me a couple more years. I didn't play hockey either like these guys, but I finally got credibility from them.
But here's, and like to take it back around, right? When Doc Pierce, because what you need is he'll explain, this is what we're going to do, but this is why, right? So if you know like your motivation to do it, and if you understood that you didn't have to maybe run as much, if you implemented the stretching to get what you wanted to get out of it, that's where Doc, and I know from personal experience, he will explain, okay, so you don't want to do that or whatever, but what are we going to put into it? And at the end of the day, it's what you're willing to do, but you also know why. Right? Like, Spenny, you're a great example right now, as I just saw you with your Oakland tank top pumping it out at Planet Fitness yesterday about slowly but surely. But, right, it's getting in that sort of routine. But if you know what you're trying to accomplish, and if you have somebody like Doc to explain it to you, because you're trying to get your body better, get in better shape and stuff like this, you don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to do it. You want to do it correctly, right? Because your goal at hand. And if he gives you the pathway, and this is the road of least resistance, it's not work. Yeah. And that's the one thing is it is, and Doc had to do this with me, is you got to make it like he can make it into like not a competition, but something where it
relates.
Where it relates, and you know why you're doing it, so you can invest into it. I think that's the big thing, instead of just like, oh, okay, go run. That's the way it used to be. It used to be you could follow guys around, but I didn't need, even though I tell everybody it was easy back in the day, I just followed Drapes and Stevie around. But the reality is, Doc would say, well, you need to do a little bit more of this away from what they're doing.
Talking with Dr. Jeffrey Pierce, as we always do every Tuesday, the medical director at the Michigan Sports and Spine Centers. And I'm getting this in the chat right now. And originally we were going to we'll do the baseball thing next week.
No, we can talk about Tommy John for a minute.
No, we'll do that next week.
Because it'll be perfect for opening day week.
Yeah, Jay Washington says, watch Neil end up like Justin Jefferson with a hamstring injury, out for 7 weeks for not stretching. All right, let's cut the ish, Doc. You're here right now. A lot of people do this. We got some runners in the chat. Stuff like that. What's that?
I love when you put me on the spot. But let's go.
Yeah, let's go. All right, enough. All right, let's stop dancing around it. Let's get into it. I stretch for about 30 seconds before I start running. Now, I'm not Prefontaine, and I'm not Justin Jefferson. I'm not running a 4.240 or anything like that. We ramp up the treadmill. I run about 6.5 miles an hour. I run that for my hour, and that's how I operate. There's no huge sprinting. Should I stretch more before or no? Because I feel like I'm not overexerting or anything like that. I'm warming up into it. I don't get a good sweat going until about 1.5 miles in or so. Am I all right or no? Be honest with me.
We're never going to argue that stretching isn't beneficial. There's something we call a dynamic warm-up. So what you're describing is that you're doing a pseudo-dynamic warm-up. I kind of pace myself a little bit slower. I let my muscles warm up. I let, to lengthen. And you are doing it, right? So is to get you on the ground and see how tight your hamstrings are is something else to do. But you may be short running, right? So you're not getting full length. Like when we look at hockey players, when I look at young kids, hockey players that don't know they're injured, you start seeing that they short stride, right? So that's a first red flag to us that there's something wrong with that side or their pathology there. So I don't know if you're running efficiently, you're running like a distance runner, a sprinter, what are you doing? But what you're actually doing is creating a dynamic warm-up, not the best, but it's better than nothing. So you stretch your 30 seconds, you get into like a slower pace, and then my body feels better, I'm going to up the speed to 6.5 or whatever you're doing. So you're kind of doing a little bit of a pseudo warm-up, get ready, get my body ready.
All right, good enough for me, Doc. Cool. All right, I'm all right. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
No, but But that's the thing. Is your stride shorter than it was 10 years ago? You say you've been doing this forever. Do you have the exact same thing? How are you hitting the ground? Are your shoes wearing out differently? We look at all that for proactive preventative, right? If you don't change your shoes, if you don't even know to change your shoes after so many miles, those are the things you do. You don't wear the same pair of shoes every time you run if you're running 7 days a week. That's not healthy. There's a lot of preventative, proactive tips. But to get just down to the true stretching, always stretch. Younger ages, yeah, your elasticity is a little bit better. But as you age, you gotta respect the holy grail of your body.
Well, Doc, I appreciate the time, appreciate the honesty. You know what I know we didn't mean to go down this direction, but you know what? It's real life. It's real life here. You know what I'm saying?
We want to talk more what's going to benefit the viewers and what they want to hear, and encourage in the chat if we're what direction they want, if they want to talk. But professional athletes, they shouldn't have any issues. They should be proactive, preventative. But again, it gets to the young guys that just ignore the trainer, or we've talked to Braylon before. Braylon's like, yeah, early on, I skipped the training room. A lot of that's happening. But the messaging down, I want to say, we take care of a lot of young hockey players, and they added this dynamic warm-up, but nobody's actually watching. Are they really doing it? Like this kid that I have, my son's friend, he did it most likely from, I just want to see how much weight I can lift. Those things, it gets competitive. So how to be proactive and mature and smart, people are going to make the same mistakes. That's why I'm in business, at the end of the day. But going to someone like me over someone else, that's what I would encourage. You got to go to I appreciate Mac all the time doing the shout outs for me, but honestly, research who you're seeing. Don't go to where your insurance dictates. I can get on another soapbox. I know we're running out of time, but insurance is dictating too much of what's going on. You may need to drive a little bit further. You may need to spend a little money on a real doctor that can really help you. Because if you waste 4 to 8 weeks with a doctor that doesn't get it or doesn't know what he's doing, you're causing ongoing issues that turns chronic. Because the classic thing is, I went to the doc, I did it for 8 weeks, it didn't get it all better, I'm just dealing with it. Then they come to me 2 years later. It's like, I just had the woman I told you about, the engineers. That's the exact story. It's like, do the research. There's plenty of research out there. Whatever. I don't want to get on a soapbox.
I think the greatness, though, Doc, is the fact that, I speak from experience, that you are my guy. You were my guy. We've had these experiences, and you're not somebody out there, the person out there watching Woodward right now that has a question that either has waited too long or doesn't wait too long, can reach out to you and find out or do the research, right? Yeah. Like that. I think that's the caveat, is that we do have history, and it's not somebody sitting there. Is that that's why I sit here and I go, like, when you're talking to Neil, we've had all these talks, and all the frustration through all of us. And the one thing is that about Doc is he's got patience. Yeah. And the one thing is that he's like me. He'll tell you the truth. And sometimes you don't want to hear it, but it's your actions. Right, but it's the why.
I have no filters anymore.
You waited too long. If you can, come back from it. So, here, I always say, don't tell me what, tell me who. Here's my who. So if that matters or doesn't matter, at the end of the day, what's important to you is that people get the information and look into it, no matter if it's you or not. I get that.
Right.
But I'm saying that, no, dude, this is a guy that literally put me back together, and you can reach out to him too.
I don't have the fancy TikTok with 1 million followers. Right. I mean, I suck, but I got my social media person's here today. She's like, let's do some TikToks. I go, we looked up this guy.
You gotta do some dances, Doc.
All right, you gonna dance with me one time?
Not me. I'm saving that for my TikTok.
All right. Well, Doc, we appreciate your time.
I'll get on your TikTok then.
We appreciate the time, as always. In the chat, real quick, before we let you go here, I'm salty. Love to hear it, Doc. Very knowledgeable. GW the Kid, always good to have Doc on. He's been very informational. And that's what it is. We'll talk.
That means a lot. That keeps me coming. So if I can educate one, change somebody, I'm happy to keep coming.